Joe Biden, it's the first write-in campaign in history. What happened in New Hampshire? He's on track to get more votes than Barack Obama did in 2012. But let's talk about the unity. There's only 10% of Democratic voters, self-reporting this, that would not support Joe Biden. We are completely unified.
But that's the number you expect from an incumbent, right? I mean, that's a normal incumbent number.
But we've been talking about Donald Trump as a quasi-incumbent, at least. He has a record to run on, right? He's acting like he's an incumbent. He actually thinks that he won in 2020, so he's like half an incumbent.
Damn! Come on, did you think we were really going to have the New Hampshire primary this week and not have a Jessica Tarlov takedown? You know me better than that by now.
Cognitive dissonance thing is fair game, though, and people want to minimize it and say, well, if he has 3 blunders and Joe Biden has 6, that's what it is. But you know, the Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi mix-ups, the magnets and water, I mean, acting out missile defense systems, ding, 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 boom, whoosh. What kind of president?
Especially when it births the opportunity for the slowest of slow zooms on her co-hosts. Now, to be fair, right, been a more volatile week on the Murdoch propaganda network. The Trump coddling to fact-checking ratio hasn't been so one-sided.
We're going to have a replay of what we saw in 2020, and there's a lot of concerns actually that I've seen now recently with Donald Trump on the stuff.
You cannot compare the two.
Absolutely, we can. You know, last night he said he won New Hampshire in the general election. He lost it to Hillary Clinton, lost it to Joe Biden by 7 points.
You
right?
cannot compare the two.
Haley, he mixed up Nikki Haley. He mixed up Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi for minutes on end in a speech and came back to it. So there are a lot of verbal miscues. There's a lot of gaffes.
I found very interesting reporting we're getting today that Donald Trump and his allies are pressuring Republicans in Congress not to come to some sort of compromise on the border and immigration. We actually know that they're getting pretty close. Senators from both parties are working very hard here. Yesterday, Mitch McConnell told the Republican caucus that they're in a tough position because Trump doesn't actually want Biden to be able to, quote, get a win on this by signing something, even though signing that piece of bipartisan legislation would help with the border. It wouldn't fix it,
HR2
but it would help.
I mean, even Trump's former press secretary couldn't deny that his performance in New Hampshire was more ripples than the MAGA wave that Trump predicted.
President Trump, I would go home tonight. I'd go to my victory party. I would celebrate.
Yeah.
I've made history yet again. But then I'd go home and I'd look under the hood. And when you look under the hood of our Fox News voter analysis data, you find that 32% of Republicans say we won't vote for Trump. But when you look at the Republican Party, 7 in 10 Nikki Haley voters said, I would not vote for Trump. There was a Des Moines Register poll, 43% said, no, I wouldn't vote for Trump.
While facing off with her co-host, Jessica Tarlov used her time to highlight the clear differences between party unity, something that most who venture outside of the Fox News cocoon would be akin to, seeing as how hard it was for Republicans to get behind a single speaker, never mind a candidate for president. And the truth was hard to swallow for those so used to being force-fed diatribe.
I would tell him to be out there as much as possible, quite frankly. And we hear a lot about the lack of enthusiasm. Joe Biden, it's the first write-in campaign in history. What happened in New Hampshire? He's on track to get more votes than Barack Obama did in 2012. You talk about Dean Phillips, he got 20%, sure, but let's talk about the unity. There's only 10% of Democratic voters, self-reporting this, that would not supportE Biden. We are completely unified.
But that's the number you expect from an incumbent, right? I mean, that's a normal incumbent number.
But we've been talking about Donald Trump as a quasi-incumbent, at least. He has a record to run on, right? He's acting like he's an incumbent. He actually thinks that he won in 2020, so he's like half an incumbent. And he, 50%. He gets 50,000 votes, and 70% of his competitors' voters won't even go for him. But I hear about this basement campaign all the time from 2020 and even from now. We don't see Joe Biden, and it's shocking that we get all this footage somehow. But he is out there, and he's doing meaningful things. He was with the United Auto Workers today, getting their endorsement. And the president talking about how Donald Trump, when they had a strike in 2019, didn't do anything. Yesterday, he had a rally for reproductive rights in Virginia. It's going to be a crucial issue for us. Monday, the Reproductive Health Care Access Task Force, the U.S. Conference of Mayors last Friday. He went to Raleigh on Thursday to talk about broadband access and to meet with an educator who had his student loans forgiven and the impact it's had with his family. And by the way, they made some very meaningful content out of all of that. The man is not hiding, and he's doing well, and Democrats are happy with their choice.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that while there are many Democratic voters who oppose Biden on certain issues, only 10% of them have said that they wouldn't vote for him in 2024. Meanwhile, 7 in 10 Nikki Haley voters, yes, that's Nikki Haley, not former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, Donald, said that they will not vote for Trump if he's the nominee.
Well, I voted for Nikki Haley because I was voting against Donald Trump.
And what propelled you to get to this point?
I'm 74 years old. I've lived in a constitutional democracy all my life. I want to remain that way, and I want my grandchildren to grow up in one, not a dictatorship.
And I'm curious, over the last 2 elections, have you voted Trump in the past? Was it something where you voted for him, you trusted him, and you were disappointed?
Yes, I voted for him in 2016. I am a registered Republican, and I regretted that vote almost immediately, especially on his trip to Europe where he insulted our allies and praised Putin.
And then in 2020, was that enough for you to change your vote to Joe Biden?
Yes, absolutely.
Why did you feel the need to cross party lines?
Because I want the world to be a safe place. I believe in a strong NATO. My father fought in World War II to defeat fascism, and I want it to remain defeated.
And you look at Iowa, nearly half of those who backed Nikki Haley said that they would rather vote for President Biden over Trump in a general election. Republican voters in New Hampshire continued along this trend, and they expressed major concerns about Trump, with one CBS News poll showing that 47% of registered Republican primary voters said that they believe Trump would be unfit to serve as president if he were convicted.
I think I'm a lot sharper than her. I would do this. I would sit down right now and take an aptitude test, and it would be my result against her result, and she's not going to win. She's not going to even come close to winning.
Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy that was blaming Nikki Haley for January 6th and couldn't. If he's off the teleprompter, this is not Donald Trump of 2016, guys.
So,
if he's off the teleprompter, he can barely keep a cogent thought. I mean, that's just fact.
But you've seen him in person probably more times.
I've worked with him very closely. He's not the same guy. This is not Donald Trump.
He didn't
on
have a
his
prompter
fastball.
last night.
Yeah, look, this guy is nearly 80 years old. Thank you for your
77.
service. Yeah, that's nearly 80. We'll do math later, but look, he's...
And so, what does he do when he wins, albeit not convincingly? He makes fun of her dress.
I felt I should do this because I find in life you can't let people get away with bullshit, okay? You can't. You just can't do that. And when I watched her in the fancy dress that probably wasn't so fancy, and just a little note to Nikki, she's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already. Not big reasons, a little stuff that she doesn't want to talk about, but she will be under investigation within minutes. And so would Ron have been, but he decided to get out.
There's a reason Donald Trump is going on these 3 a.m. toilet seat truth social binges, because he's not confident. And what does he do when he's wary? He attacks.
I got to say it. It's just the truth. Donald Trump's Republican Party lost in 2017. They lost in 2018. They lost in 2019. They lost in 2020. They lost in 2021. But they got that red wave in 2022 that the media told, oh, no, they didn't. The media was wrong again. They lost in 2022. They've lost in elections in 2023. And my money's on them losing again in 2024.
Into the war room to see you, so I had to hack my way onto this frequency.
This better be critical, Wheelie.
Sir, come on, when is it not, please? Okay, couple of things. I want to lower the dose. I was thinking about taking a couple of months sick leave, maybe starting today. And oh yeah, I intercepted a transmission from Megatron.
Then send it through.
Yes, sir, right away, sir. And so I'll assume that we're good on the other stuff.
This is your last warning, insects. Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who's the insect? You? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They were defeated on our world, and we will defeat them here.
This
was just a diversion. Security, please bring up. Rabbit, she's already inside. Deeds! Give me an update on that reserve. Boss readiness. What was his name? What was it? Evac, sir. Right, evac.
She's right in front.
heavy, sustained attack. They appear to be after the All-Star break.